Some artists become famous. Others become part of the emotional memory of a culture. Juan Gabriel belonged to the second kind. His voice, his melodies, and his unmistakable presence reached far beyond the stage. Yet Juan Gabriel was not the name he was born with. Before the dazzling costumes, enormous audiences, and songs known across generations, there was a boy named Alberto Aguilera Valadez. Alberto was born in Paracuaro, Michoacán, in 1950. But another Mexican city would become inseparable from his identity: Ciudad Juárez, the place that helped shape the artist the world would later call El Divo de Juárez. His beginnings were humble, and the path ahead offered no guarantee of success. Nothing about those early circumstances suggested that one day his songs would fill theaters, arenas, homes, radios, and family gatherings across the Spanish-speaking world. But music offered Alberto something extraordinary. It gave shape to feelings. It turned loneliness into melody, affection into words, and memories into something that could be shared with another person. By the age of 13, he was already composing songs. Long before fame arrived, the ability that would define his entire life had begun to emerge. He could transform emotion into music. As a young performer, Alberto began appearing under the name Adon Luna. The stages were modest and the audiences small, but every performance gave him something valuable that no recording studio could teach. Ciudad Juárez became his practical school of performance. Its nightlife, musicians, clubs, streets, and audiences taught him how a song changed when it left the page and entered a room filled with people. He learned to communicate not only through his voice, but through expression, gesture, timing, and presence. The performer who would later command enormous stages was being formed one small appearance at a time. That world would remain with him. Years later, memories of Juárez nightlife would return through songs such as El Noa Noa, transforming a real place from his youth into a celebration recognized far beyond the city itself. But performing was only one part of his ambition. Alberto was writing constantly. Songs were becoming the foundation of the future he imagined for himself. Soon, the local stages of Juárez were no longer enough. If his songs were going to reach a larger audience, he needed access to the center of Mexico's recording industry. Mexico City represented opportunity, but opportunity did not mean certainty. Record companies, professional studios, established performers, and intense competition stood between an unknown songwriter and the career he hoped to build. Still, he possessed the one resource that mattered most. He had songs. And eventually, those songs would open the door that ambition alone could not. The young composer moved deeper into the professional music world, carrying melodies built from experiences that ordinary listeners could immediately understand: hope, absence, love, disappointment, memory, and longing. Then came the identity that would travel around the world: Juan Gabriel. Under that name, Alberto Aguilera Valadez would build one of the most recognizable songwriting careers in Latin popular music. The recording studio changed everything. Songs once performed for small groups could now be recorded, pressed, broadcast, purchased, replayed, and carried into homes he would never personally enter. In 1971, No Tengo Dinero became his first major hit. Its success helped introduce Juan Gabriel to a national audience and marked the beginning of a recording career that would continue for decades. Recognition arrived quickly. The young man who had once performed in modest venues was becoming a familiar name, and listeners were beginning to recognize something distinctive in the honesty and directness of his songs. Records allowed his voice to travel beyond any single stage. Every radio broadcast created another possible connection between the songwriter and someone listening miles away. But even as Juan Gabriel became known as a singer, songwriting remained the engine of everything he created. The performer attracted attention. The composer gave that attention something lasting. One song became many. One record became a catalog. Instead of relying on a single breakthrough, he continued writing, exploring new emotional themes and new musical arrangements. Within only a few years, Juan Gabriel was no longer simply trying to enter Mexican popular music. He was establishing his own place inside it. And audiences were discovering that the man behind the songs was also an extraordinary performer. Juan Gabriel did not merely sing a composition. He inhabited it. As his popularity grew, the scale changed. Larger venues, richer arrangements, bigger ensembles, television appearances, and increasingly ambitious performances expanded the world surrounding his music. His body became part of the musical language. Hands, facial expressions, turns, pauses, smiles, and dramatic gestures carried emotion beyond the words themselves. Musically, he resisted being confined to a narrow category. His catalog moved through romantic balladry, pop, ranchera, mariachi traditions, dance-oriented sounds, and other forms of Mexican and Latin popular music. El Noa Noa revealed another part of his gift. A memory connected to the nightlife of Ciudad Juárez could become a song that invited audiences everywhere to celebrate with him. That transformation became a pattern throughout his career. Juan Gabriel could begin with something deeply personal and somehow leave enough space for millions of listeners to place their own memories inside it. His influence also moved beyond his own voice. Other singers recorded his compositions, allowing his songwriting to live through different interpretations, arrangements, generations, and musical personalities. Two identities now existed together. There was Juan Gabriel, the spectacular performer, and Juan Gabriel, the composer whose melodies could remain powerful even when somebody else stood at the microphone. Success did not require him to abandon the musical culture that had shaped him. Instead, he repeatedly found ways to bring Mexican traditions into contemporary popular music. Certain emotional themes returned again and again. Love remembered, love lost, love desired, separation endured, affection declared, and the powerful human need to remain connected. Those emotions did not stop at national borders. His music traveled throughout Latin America and among Spanish-speaking communities around the world because the feelings required little explanation. Songs such as Querida demonstrated his extraordinary understanding of emotional simplicity. A direct phrase, repeated with growing intensity, could become something enormous when thousands of people recognized themselves inside it. At concerts, an extraordinary exchange took place. Juan Gabriel would begin a song he had once written alone, and entire audiences would return the words to him. Amor Eterno became another powerful example. Its language of love, absence, and remembrance allowed listeners to connect the song with their own experiences of people they could never forget. Gradually, Juan Gabriel's music became connected with the moments of everyday life: celebrations, heartbreaks, family gatherings, long journeys, farewells, memories, and reunions. This was something greater than commercial popularity. The songs were becoming part of shared cultural memory. And on stage, Juan Gabriel continued expanding the possibilities of his public identity. Elegance, theatricality, vulnerability, confidence, movement, and emotional openness all became parts of one unmistakable presence. Soon, recognition required almost no introduction. The silhouette, the gestures, the movement across the stage, and the relationship with the audience announced Juan Gabriel before a song had even reached its chorus. Yet spectacle never replaced the craft underneath it. Behind every costume and every theatrical gesture remained a songwriter carefully building melodies and words. That catalog continued growing beyond the boundaries of his own performances. Other voices carried Juan Gabriel's compositions into new settings, keeping the songwriter present even when he was not the person singing. By the end of the 1980s, his position within popular culture was undeniable. But one event would give that success an especially powerful cultural meaning. Juan Gabriel's songs were no longer associated with only one audience or one period. They had become familiar across different regions, social settings, and generations. His musical world could place mariachi colors beside romantic balladry, popular tradition beside contemporary production, and intimate confession beside the scale of a major concert. Parents knew the songs. Their children learned them. New performers interpreted them. Juan Gabriel's relationship with the public was beginning to extend beyond the normal lifespan of popular trends. Then came the Palacio de Bellas Artes in Mexico City, one of the country's most prestigious cultural stages. For Juan Gabriel, performing there carried meaning beyond another successful concert. A figure rooted in mass popular music was entering a space associated with Mexico's highest traditions of artistic presentation. Consider the distance already traveled. Paracuaro, Ciudad Juárez, modest stages, handwritten songs, Mexico City, recording studios, radio, fame, enormous audiences. Now, those roads seem to meet in one place. In 1990, Juan Gabriel walked onto the stage of the Palacio de Bellas Artes. Surrounded by the grandeur of the hall and expanded musical arrangements, familiar songs took on a new scale without losing the emotional intimacy that had made audiences love them. The moment carried a larger message. Popular music could belong inside a monumental cultural space without becoming less popular, less emotional, or less connected to ordinary people. The performance made the arc of Juan Gabriel's life visible in a single image. A songwriter from humble beginnings standing at the center of one of Mexico's defining artistic institutions. But he did not arrive there alone. In a symbolic sense, Juan Gabriel carried with him every listener who had turned his songs into part of a birthday, a heartbreak, a family memory, a celebration, or a farewell. Bellas Artes was not an ending. Through the years that followed, Juan Gabriel continued recording, performing, collaborating, and bringing his catalog into changing musical eras. New generations encountered songs written years before they were born and discovered that the emotions inside them had not become old. Good songwriting does something remarkable. It separates a song from the decade that created it. In 2009, the Latin Recording Academy honored Juan Gabriel as its Person of the Year, recognizing his artistic achievements and wider contribution. That same year, a performance intended to be brief grew into a remarkable musical celebration lasting nearly 40 minutes. By then, the scale of his legacy was impossible to measure through a single concert, record, or award. It existed in the enormous body of songs he had created, in the artists who interpreted them, and in the people who continued to find pieces of their own lives inside his words. On August 28, 2016, Juan Gabriel died. A human life had reached its end, but the music immediately demonstrated something different. The voice could fall silent while the songs continued to travel. They remained in recordings, in other singers' voices, in family memories, on stages, at celebrations, and in moments of private remembrance. They remained with people who had grown up listening to them, and they reached listeners who had never seen Juan Gabriel perform in person. That is one of the remarkable powers of music. The moment of creation passes, the performance ends, and generations change. But a song capable of expressing something deeply human can begin a new life every time someone listens. Juan Gabriel had begun by finding words for his own emotions. In the end, millions of people used those songs to express theirs. That is why the story of Juan Gabriel is larger than fame. It is the story of a boy who discovered that emotion could become music. Of a young songwriter who carried his songs beyond Ciudad Juárez. Of a performer who transformed a stage into a conversation with thousands of people. And of a composer whose work continued speaking even after his own voice was gone. A song begins with one person. But when other people recognize their own lives inside it, the song no longer belongs only to its creator. And when generations continue to sing it, the song becomes memory. That memory is Juan Gabriel's enduring legacy. And memory keeps the music alive.
A thousand reply, music became